Kieryn McAnulty joins me, the Minister for Racing here in New Zealand. What a sensational day we have here at Kaikoura. It is just a brilliant place, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's iconic. I mean, this is a place that any racing fan in the country will know about. They know about this couple of days of racing and how important it is to the harness industry here in the lead up to the New Zealand Cup.
I'm from Australia. I put a little tweet out earlier on about seriously what a track on Twitter. The feedback I've got from people that have been, people that want to come. So don't worry about it just being New Zealand, like the Aussies, and a couple of those are American and Canadian guys as well. It's on the radar. There's so much to like about this place. It's actually an event, isn't it? It's a race. It's an event with a race going on at the same time.
Yeah, it is, and I would encourage anyone watching to come and check it out because, you know, with New Zealand being so small, the racing industry is facing a lot of challenges. But when you come along to meetings like this, you've got families having picnics, you've got corporates entertaining their clients, you've got tourists here from other side of the world that have heard about it and come along in their camper vans. This is a festival atmosphere and it's absolutely fantastic.
Well, Ben was saying there before, inside there's sort of three facets. There's your marquees, your barbecue, your caravans, and then the racing people.
Yeah, no, totally. And, you know, before I got into politics, I was a bookie at the TAB here. And you know, I used to watch the races here in Kaikoura and think, God, I'd love to go there. Well, I finally get to do it today and I'm absolutely stoked. You know, it's so good to just float around and have a yarn to people that love racing, they're passionate about this meeting, but also talk to those people that don't know anything about racing, but they've heard about it, they wanted to come along and they're having a ball.
You've left me open. How do you go from being a bookie to a racing minister? Like, how does that one work?
Yeah, well, there's probably a reason I'm the first bookie to ever be elected to Parliament, and it's not a straightforward connection. But, you know, yeah, I'm passionate about this industry, and I'm really stoked to have named the racing minister. I've only been in the job 4 months, but, you know, like I said, we've got some challenges here, but I've got some ideas as to how we might be able to fix it. And what's good about coming on track is I can talk to the people about it, those involved in the industry, you know, throw out those ideas and get some feedback before I put it to Cabinet. So I've been at the Greyhounds yesterday, Trots today, I'm going up to Pukekohe for the Gallops tomorrow for Melbourne Cup Day. That's the best way to go about it, just talk to people. Listen.
It is, and you've got to listen to them and you've got to see what they're going through too. Sometimes someone will make a phone call, physically here, you watch it, someone says, oh, you know, this is going on, you go and watch it with your own eyes. Gives you a whole different perspective, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've got a track where I'm from called Tauhara Nico. It's very similar vibe to here in Kaikoura. Families coming along. You know, I think that's the future of racing because we can't rely on what it used to be where it was ingrained in our culture. There's a lot of competition for the entertainment dollar now, and if we're going to be bringing new people in the industry, we've got to give them an experience like Kaikoura is today. So I commend the organisers. They've had a bloody tough run over the last couple of years with COVID. They've got numbers bigger than what they had before COVID, so good on them.
What are some of the bigger challenges that you see?
Well, we have a system in New Zealand where we've got the TAB that exists solely to feedback and fund the racing industry, and it used to be a monopoly. But now with the onset of online gambling, that monopoly is just on paper only. In reality, they're competing against overseas operators that can offer better odds, that can offer options that the TAB are restricted from doing, and so that means that year on year and we've got less money for the racing industry. That makes it hard. You know, we can't attract owners, we can't attract new punters, we can't attract sponsors if we don't have the funds to be able to put into decent stakes and upgrade facilities and put on a decent show like we've got here. If we just relied on people's connection to the industry over many, many years, it'll just dwindle and our domestic industry will die. And what I point out to people is that racing's worth $1.6 billion to New Zealand because we're an export country. We export our products. And we can't do that if we don't have a domestic racing scene to showcase our products. So I'm going to keep talking to people here in the industry and try and convince my ministerial colleagues that we've got to do something to secure the industry domestically here in New Zealand.
I'm a big believer. I do a lot with New Zealand. That's why I'm out here, growing it, almost joining it with Australia. But also in Australia, I'm big on joining the whole racing. It's not harness, dogs and gallops, it's racing. And I would imagine it's got to be a similar approach here, one in, all in, and try and promote the racing product and have it so you can take on these other betting agencies like the basketballs, the NFL football, those sorts of sleeping giants that a lot of people aren't aware of, especially when you're a racing person, you live racing, you're not realising that there's so much more money being invested in, especially a game like basketball.
Well, totally, but at the same time, the way we've set things up in this country is that if someone has a punt on an NBA, it's still good for racing. So Basketball New Zealand will get a share of both turnover and profit. but the rest goes into the racing industry. So sports betting in this country is not a bad thing. It's not seen as a competitor. What is seen as a competitor is that those overseas providers who aren't as ingrained into the domestic racing scene. And so I think that's a unique structure that I'm very supportive of, and it benefits New Zealand racing across the three codes. And the way that we've set it up, actually recent changes under this government, is that the three codes are working together, and that's exactly the way it needs to be. They shouldn't see each other as competitors. They should see each other as contributors to the success long term of the industry.
And then, the way I would think about it, the basketballers buy into the racing buy into the basketball. If they can't be a part of it, if they want to go to a game, promote it. If they want to have a bet on it, have a bet on it, but just grow it that way.
And totally. So if New Zealand basketball wants to encourage people to have a punt on the NBA, it benefits them. It benefits New Zealand racing. That's all good. And so really, if you think about it, there's a clear distinction, I think, between having a wager on either sports or racing or having a gamble on online casinos or the pokies. Because it doesn't matter how good you are, you'll never win on those long term. But if you're good enough and disciplined enough, you can make money on racing and sports betting. There's a clear distinction in my mind, and I think given that and its contribution to our economy, that's why we need to look to secure it long term.
It's not just the economy either, it's also social. Because, I mean, look at the ladies behind. These guys are all in the running for the fashions on the field. You're a bit worried that they were getting picked off one by one, but they're actually in the finalists. But there's people over there having barbecues. There's a band playing. There's a local hot dog stand. There is so much more that racing actually does than just TAB turnover and provide horse people with a job. It does so much more for the economy. There would be people. I was in Maryborough yesterday afternoon, flown here. I might only spend $1, but that's $1 more that you're going to get, and that's what people have got to be able to, I suppose, encourage and sell.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll give you an example. I live in a place called Wairarapa, and there's a beach called Castle Point Beach. We've got annual beach races every year in March, and they're not connected through the TAB, so you can't actually have a punt. You can go and have an equalisator bet, but you can't have a punt on the TAB. So they don't make money out of that. Where they make money out of is all the families coming out for a wholesome day out. They spend money with the local shops. They bring their marquees. They have a wonderful time. And so it just goes to show that you're absolutely right. This is a cultural thing as well. It's a social thing. And if it's done right, it can be absolutely a family event as well.
And a lot of fun, a good day out, meet people. There's so much mental health in this world. Everyone talks about these sort of days. You forget all that because you've got so many people around bubbling and jumping, and it's just a good fun day. And it's not about the punt as much as it's about everything else, and that's what it's all about. That's what I think is racing's about. That's why I love racing. That's why I'm over here, and I'm glad to have a racing minister over here with a similar sort of philosophy, which I think is great.
Well, I think it's great that you've come over, and by doing so, you're promoting our industry here in New Zealand, but also the wonderful Kaikoura region. And I appreciate you spreading it out to all your viewers, all your subscribers, and an opportunity for us to say, if you want to go somewhere, come to New Zealand, check out our racing scene, and come to the Kaikoura Cup.
It is brilliant, and it's breathtaking scenery. That's the other part. Don't worry about that. There's so many other things. Whale watching, I think, is big, and it's just magic. So, yeah, thank you very much for giving me 5 minutes. Busy little marquee. There's a lot going on. I think you've got to judge the winner, don't you? Is that your job?
Oh,
yeah, I hope not, don't you?
Politicians should never pick best dressed, I'll tell you that much.
Kieran, thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks very much.